Many years ago, a line written on the moss covered wall of an ancient Gurukul struck my mind like a bolt of lightning. It read, "Those who preach renunciation to you have never even touched the Upanishads." That one moment created an ocean of questions within me. I realized that the way we know the Upanishads is actually like looking through a foggy glass. These misconceptions are so deep and strong that they have shackled both our spirituality and our society in invisible chains. These chains prevent us from reaching the heights we truly deserve. Today, we will break down, one by one, the walls of some of the biggest and most harmful misconceptions that have blocked the flow of our thinking for thousands of years. Get ready, because the first misconception can change your perspective of the world forever. Upanishad Myth 1. The Upanishads say, renounce the world. This is the most prevalent and perhaps the most harmful myth. We think that the knowledge of the Upanishads considers this world a barrier and advises turning away from it. Many young people head to ashrams with this mindset, believing that to attain the soul, one must leave home, family, work, and business. But this is the greatest injustice done to the heart of the Upanishads. The very first mantra of the Isha Upanishad shatters this entire notion. This entire universe, whatever exists in the world, it means in this moving universe, every particle is covered by God and it is pervaded by Him. Here, catch the word Vasya. It means to reside, to be covered. Imagine, God is not some distant king sitting far away, but the air you breathe. He is present not only on the snowy peaks of the Himalayas, but equally in the files on your office desk, in your child's school bag, and in the morning cup of tea. So then the question arises, what is renunciation? And where can one run away to when he is present everywhere? The Upanishads do not speak of renouncing the world, but rather of renouncing the feeling of ownership while living in the world. This is a revolutionary idea. Understand it through a story. Last year, the CEO of a successful technology company came to me. He said, I want to sell everything and go to the Himalayas. There is peace there, an experience of the soul. I told them, friend, the spirit you are searching for is present in every line of your code, in every meeting of your team. You don't need to give up your company, just the illusion that I own it. You are only a trustee, a manager. The Upanishads say, be a gardener who serves the garden but does not believe that he owns the soil. The greatest example of this philosophy is King Janaka himself, who was called a Rajarshi, meaning a king who was also a sage. He ruled over the vast kingdom of Mitla, but was completely detached internally. According to a famous story described in texts like the Mahabharata, while he was receiving knowledge from his guru, a soldier came running and shouted, Maharaj, Mithila is on fire. Everything is burning. All the other disciples ran away to save their huts and belongings, but Janak sat calmly. His guru asked, Janak, your entire capital is burning and you are sitting here. Janak smiled and replied, Guruji, I have infinite wealth but nothing of mine. In the blazing Mithila, nothing of mine burns. That is, my treasure is infinite, yet I have nothing. Even if the entire Mithila burns, nothing of mine burns. This is renunciation along with enjoyment. Live in the world, but do not let the world live inside you. Upanishad Myth 2. The soul and Brahman are different. This is the second biggest mistake that we are taught from childhood. In school books, Brahman is shown as a supreme power and the soul as a personal part. The result? We think that we are fish in a small pond and Brahman is a vast ocean. And to reach that ocean, we have to undertake a long, tiring river journey. But the Chandogya Upanishad erases this distance in a single moment. Sage Udalaka tells his son Shvetaketu, Tat Tvam Asi. These three words in Sanskrit are the deepest truth in human history. That thou art. There is no external controller, no God sitting far away, the one who is complete, that is you. This is not just a sentence, but the essence of a deep dialogue. Shvetaketu had returned after studying for 12 years in the Gurukul and was very proud of his knowledge. Then his father Udalaka asked him, Son, have you also attained that knowledge, after knowing which there is nothing left to know? Shvetaketu was astonished. Then Udalaka explained to him. He said, Bring a fruit from a banyan tree. Shvetaketu brought it. Break it. Broken father, what do you see? Countless tiny seeds. Now break one seed. Broken. What do you see now? Father, I can't see anything inside it. Then Udalaka said, Son, the nothing that you cannot see is the invisible essence from which this huge banyan tree stands. It is the same truth, the same soul, and Shvetaketu said, Tat Tvam Asi, that is, you are that. Then he mixed salt in a bowl of water and made it invisible, saying that just as the salt is present throughout the water even though it cannot be seen, similarly Brahman pervades you and the entire universe. The relationship between the soul and Brahman is exactly like this. Advaita Vedanta calls it non-difference. Shankaracharya explained it with a beautiful example. As long as a clay pot is intact, it is called a pot. When it breaks, does the clay go anywhere? No, it remains there. Only the veil of name and form is removed. Similarly, there is no real distance between us and Brahman. There is only a fog called Maya, the obscurity of our own understanding. Upanishad Myth 3. Upanishad recognizes caste by birth. It is often alleged on internet forums and social media that the Vedas and Upanishads gave birth to the caste system in society and made it rigid. But when we directly turn the pages of the Upanishads, the truth appears to be quite different. There's hardly any discussion of caste in the Upanishads, and where it does exist, it is based on qualities and actions, not on birth certificates. Its most powerful story is found in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. In King Janaka's assembly, the greatest scholars of the land have gathered. There, a woman, Gargi Vachaknavi, stands up and directly challenges Yajnavalkya, the greatest knower of Brahman of that era, to a debate on the scriptures. She was not a Brahmin by birth, yet she was called Brahmavadini, meaning one who delivers discourses on Brahman. Imagine how revolutionary this must have been in that era, where the highest platform of knowledge was resonating with the arguments of a woman. This shows that in the court of knowledge, it is not your gender or lineage, but only your curiosity that is your entry ticket. Another story that shakes the foundation of this myth is that of Satyakam Jabala, which is described in the Chandogya Upanishad. A boy, Satyakam, asks his mother Jabala, Mother, what is my lineage? The mother replies, Son, I served as a maid in many households during my youth. I do not know who your father was or what your lineage is. You go to the teacher and say that you are Satyakam and your mother is Jabala. The boy Satyakam goes to his guru Haridrumat Kotam and repeats the truth exactly as it is. The guru is neither angry nor insulted. Instead, impressed, he says, No ordinary boy can speak such pure truth. You are certainly endowed with Brahmin qualities. Your lineage is indeed Satyakam Jabal, and he initiates him into the knowledge of Brahman. Another wonderful story also comes from the Chandogya Upanishad, the story of King Janashruti. He was a very wealthy and generous king who was very proud of his virtues. One night, he overheard two swans talking. One said, Look at the brilliance of King Janashruti. The other replied, Hey, are you talking about him as if he is greater than the chariot driver Raikva? Hearing this, the king became restless. He sent his servants to find that mysterious cart driver, Rak. Rak was a poor man who was found scratching himself under a bullock cart. The king approached him with all his grandeur, gold and silver, and his daughter, and asked for the gift of knowledge. Rak scorned him and said, Hey Shudra, keep this wealth and woman to yourself. Rak did not call the king a Shudra because of his birth, but because of his arrogance and his tendency to buy knowledge. When the king abandoned his ego and asked again with humility, only then did Raikva teach him the knowledge of Brahman. This story proves that the qualification for knowledge in the Upanishads is not by birth, but by humility and true curiosity. If any one of these three myths was in your mind, please write 1, 2, or 3 in the comments below. Which misconception held you the most? And if there is a fourth misconception that troubles you, write that as well. It is possible that our next video will be about that. Upanishad myth 4. The Upanishads view women with a low regard. This is yet another modern accusation that does not stand the test of facts. It falls apart like dust as soon as the pages of the Upanishads are turned. I gave you the example of Gargi, who challenges knowledge in the assembly of men. Now listen to the story of Maitreyi. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the sage Yajnavalkya decides to renounce the world at the final stage of his life. He has two wives, Katyayani and Maitreyi. He wants to divide all his property equally between them. Katyayani accepts the property, but Maitreyi asks a question that became immortal in history. She asks, "O Swami, if this entire earth were filled with wealth and I alone became its owner, would I become immortal?" Yajnavalkya says, "No, your life would be just like that of a rich person. Immortality is not obtained through wealth." Hearing this, Maitreyi immediately rejects all that wealth and says, "If I do not become immortal through it, what use is that wealth to me?" Meaning, then what do I have to do with that wealth which cannot make me immortal? Give me that knowledge which grants immortality. And from here begins one of the deepest philosophical dialogues of the Upanishads. What does this story show? It shows that women not only had equal rights to property, but they were also considered worthy of supreme knowledge, regarding property as insignificant. Is this a lowly view? To me, it seems like the highest. Upanishad Myth 5. The Upanishad is orthodox and opposed to innovation. Often people think that the Upanishads are old, dusty books that have nothing to do with the modern age. Thinking this way is like calling Newton's theory of gravity old. The Upanishads were the most revolutionary and futuristic texts of their time. Imagine about 2800 years ago, when the world was living in tribes, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad was making a psychological comment on relationships that still surprises us today. A husband is not dear for the sake of others, but a husband is dear for the sake of oneself. Its deep meaning is, a wife does not love her husband simply because he is her husband, but because in that husband she feels an extension of her own soul. This elevates the relationship above utility to the level of self-dialogue. This idea is also new for today's relationship psychology. And wait, the Chandogya Upanishad goes even further. It says that this waking state is also a kind of dream. Today, when the philosophers of Silicon Valley talk about simulation theory and virtual reality, we should be proud that the Upanishads explained this virtual reality thousands of years ago with words like illusion and Maya. They were saying that what you consider solid reality is merely a play of consciousness. Therefore, the Upanishads were not orthodox but rather conceptual experiments far ahead of their time. If you have ever felt that the Upanishads are just old and irrelevant things, then be sure to like this video. A small like from you will motivate the YouTube algorithm to deliver this profound message to those new and curious seekers who are truly searching for it. And yes, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because here we are continuously striving, connecting ancient Vedantic knowledge with modern science to give a new direction to your life. Upanishad Myth 6. Upanishads are only for Hindus. This notion is as wrong as saying that music is only for the people of Italy because opera was born there. Knowledge has no nationality. Yes, the Upanishads are the concluding part of the Vedas and were born in the eternal tradition, but their vision is universal. Nowhere in the Upanishads is there an insistence on conversion or any particular form of worship. They speak of God, but do not confine him to any specific name or form. The most striking and tragic proof of its universality is buried in the pages of history. This is the story of the Mughal prince Dara Shikoh. Shah Jahan's eldest son and heir to the throne, Dara Shikoh was not only a warrior but also a profound mystical seeker. He tried to build a spiritual bridge between Islam and Hinduism. He acknowledged that what is called the Kitab al Maknun, or hidden book in the Quran, are the Upanishads. With this belief, he summoned the Pandits of Banaras to Delhi and, with their help, had 52 Upanishads translated from Sanskrit into Persian. He named this translation Sir-e-Akbar, meaning the greatest mystery, but his brother Aurangzeb was a staunch opponent of this ideological liberalism. In the struggle for power, Aurangzeb not only defeated Dara Shikoh but also declared him a heretic and had him beheaded. This is tragic, but it shows how powerful the knowledge of the Upanishads is in breaking boundaries. And this very greatest secret, when it reached from Persian to Latin and then to European languages, changed Western thought forever. The German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer said, "The study of the Upanishads has been the peace of my life, and it will be my peace even at the time of my death." Nobel Prize winning poet T.S. Eliot concluded his famous poem The Wasteland with the Upanishadic words Tata, Tayadvam, Tamyata, and Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. The father of quantum physics, Erwin Schrödinger, was also so influenced by Vedanta that he wrote that consciousness is always singular, and the notion of the multiplicity of the self is merely an illusion, Maya. Therefore, the message of the Upanishad is not for any one religion, but for every conscious being who asks questions and wants to measure the depths of their existence. Upanishad Myth 7. Upanishad is belief without evidence. Many people believe that the Upanishads speak only of faith which has no evidence. This is completely wrong. The method of the Upanishads is very close to today's scientific principles. The most powerful tool of the Upanishads is neti neti. Not this, not this. It is just like a sculptor carving an elephant statue from a large stone. He does not add anything to make the statue. Rather, he removes everything that is not the elephant. In the end, what remains is the form of the elephant. The process of neti neti, not this, does the same. What is the soul? It is not the body, it is not the mind, it is not the intellect. When you deny everything that is not you, what remains in the end is your true self. That is Brahman. This is not superstition, but a rigorous scientific process of negative verification. In the 20th century, philosopher Karl Popper called it the principle of falsification, which our sages had discovered thousands of years ago. It is based on experience. Gurus only show the way, but in the end they say, go and experience it yourself. Upanishad Myth 8. The Upanishad has no practical use. These are all philosophical talks. How will they improve my life? This is a very common question, so listen. It is said that at Google's global headquarters in Silicon Valley, the peace mantra from the Isha Upanishad, Om Purnamada Purnamidam, is inscribed on a wall. The world's most innovative company looks to an ancient text thousands of years old for its inspiration. The inspiration behind the minimalist design adopted by people like Steve Jobs can be seen in the philosophy of neti neti, removing unnecessary elements from a product until only its essence remains. This is the best product. This philosophical inclination is the reason they came to India for inspiration and studied Buddhist and Hindu philosophy. In many regiments of the Indian Army, the day begins with mantras from the Upanishads for mental clarity. Students in institutions like IIT and IIM use the principle of Tat Tvam Asi in meditation and self-reflection to combat stress and imposter syndrome, which gives them confidence. So practical use, from your first concern in the morning to the biggest presentation in the boardroom, the system of the Upanishads is working everywhere. Upanishad Myth 9. Upanishads are only for Sanskrit scholars. Saying this is like someone saying, only Russian people can understand the game of chess. How absurd is that? Sanskrit is the language in which this knowledge was first revealed. But knowledge itself is beyond language. Think if Einstein's theory of relativity had remained confined only to the German language, would the world have changed? No, it was translated. simplified so that everyone could understand it. In the 19th century, scholars like Max Muller translated the Upanishads into English, and then it reached every major language of the world. Today, it is in your pocket in the form of podcasts, audiobooks, and animated videos. The truth is, language was a door that was locked. Now that door has been broken. The only obstacle now may be your own lack of curiosity. It is not your level of knowledge, but your thirst for knowing that is your entry pass. Upanishad Myth 10: Reading the Upanishads immediately grants liberation. This is the most attractive yet the most dangerous myth of today's instant noodles era. We think that a 3-day workshop or a single book will instantly make us wise. The Upanishads are strictly against this notion. In the Kathopanishad, when the boy Nachiketa asks Yamaraj about the secret of death, Yamaraj does not answer him immediately. First, he tests him. He tempts him with all the pleasures of the world, kingdom, apsaras, and long life. When Nachiketa rejects all these by saying that they are all transient, Yamaraj, pleased, gradually and step by step, teaches him the knowledge of the self. Knowledge is a journey. It is not a taxi that you can immediately call by paying money. It is like sowing a seed. You sow the seed, water it daily, have patience, and only after many years does it become a huge tree. This is the message of the Upanishads against today's get self knowledge in 3 days culture. Slowly, slowly, O mind, everything happens. It is a marathon, not a 100-meter race. So these were the myths, the thick nails that had hidden the true form of the Upanishads from us. Today, we have uprooted them one by one. We have seen that the Upanishads do not teach renunciation of the world, but rather teach how to be unattached to the world while remaining connected. They do not discriminate based on caste or gender, but respect character and curiosity. They are not based on superstition, but are a laboratory of life grounded in experience and reasoning. If these thoughts have opened even a single new window in your mind, then share this video with someone who is thinking of leaving everything behind to go to the mountains. Subscribe to this channel and press the bell icon because our next stop will be the biggest misconceptions related to the Gita. Let us know in the comments below which myth would you like to break next. And finally, just remember, Tat Tvam Asi, that supreme consciousness is you.